This is a pair of Air Jordan 1s. Retail price, $180. Resale price, sometimes double that. But if you stripped away the leather, the rubber, and the foam, and you looked at the raw receipt from the factory floor in Vietnam, do you know what this shoe actually costs to make? $16.25. That is a markup of over 1,000%. In any other industry, that's called a scam. In the sneaker business, it's called marketing. But here is the part that should scare you. Nike doesn't hide this. We know the shoes are cheap to make, and yet, we thank them for the privilege of overpaying. How did a company that doesn't own a single factory convince the world that rubber and glue is worth more than gold? Today, we are deconstructing the Nike money machine. From the supply chain they don't want you to see, to the lawsuits exposing their biggest lies. This is know a bit more. 1. The Phantom Factory. To understand the price tag, you have to understand the biggest lie in the footwear industry. Nike is not a shoe manufacturer. Nike is a design and marketing firm. They don't actually make anything. They outsource 100% of their production to independent contractors in Southeast Asia. This business model is genius for one reason: risk elimination. When you own a factory, you have to pay for the machines, the electricity, and the workers. Whether the shoes sell or not, Nike doesn't have that problem. They just send a PDF design file to a factory in Vietnam and say, make 50,000 of these. If the shoe flops, they don't order more. The factory eats the loss. Let's break down that $16.25 manufacturing cost. The leather upper, about $5. The sole unit, maybe $3. The foam cushioning, $1.50. The labor to assemble it, in many cases, less than $2 per pair. Now add in quality control, shipping to the warehouse, and miscellaneous overhead. Nike's total cost to get one shoe from the factory floor to a distribution center in the United States? Roughly $20 to $25. So if Nike's all-in cost is $25 and you pay $180, where does the other $155 go? About $60 goes to marketing. That's the commercials, the athlete endorsements, the Instagram influencers. Another $40 goes to the retailer. Places like Foot Locker or Finish Line take their cut. And the rest? Pure profit. Nike keeps roughly $55 per pair. But here is what makes Nike different from every other shoe company. They don't just sell you a shoe, they sell you identity. And to protect that identity, they've built the most sophisticated artificial scarcity machine in consumer history. 2. Artificial scarcity, the psychology trap. This is the Nike SNKRS app. If you've never used it, here is how it works. Nike announces a new shoe drop. You set an alarm. You log in at exactly 10 a.m. Eastern. You tap Buy Now within 3 seconds, and you still don't get the shoe. Why? Because Nike intentionally made only 15,000 pairs for a global audience of millions. This is not an accident. This is the strategy. In economics, there is a principle called manufactured scarcity. If you control the supply, you control the price. But Nike discovered something even more powerful. If you control the supply, you also control the desire. Think about luxury brands like Hermes or Rolex. They don't sell to everyone. You have to qualify to buy their products. That exclusivity makes you want it more. Nike took that playbook and applied it to $20 rubber. When you lose a raffle for a shoe, your brain registers it as a loss. Not getting the product feels like failure. So when Nike announces the next drop, you're even more motivated to win. It's a dopamine loop, and it's by design. And here is the final twist. Nike doesn't even capture the full upside. Because after you fail to get the shoe at retail, you go to the resale market. StockX, GOAT, Stadium Goods. And now, that $180 shoe costs $800. Nike made $55. The reseller made $620. And Nike is perfectly fine with that, because the reseller just did $60 worth of marketing for free. Every time someone posts a photo of their $800 sneakers, Nike's brand value goes up. 3. The endorsement empire, the cool tax. But artificial scarcity only works if people believe the product is worth chasing. And that's where Nike's second weapon comes in: Athlete endorsements. In 1984, Nike was dying. Adidas and Reebok dominated the market. Then they signed a 21-year-old rookie named Michael Jordan. The deal was 5 years, $2.5 million, plus royalties. At the time, it was considered insane. In the first year, the Air Jordan line did $126 million in sales. Today, Jordan brand alone generates over $5 billion annually. For Nike, that 21-year-old investment has returned over $100 billion in value. Nike learned the formula. Find the best athlete in the world. Pay them a fortune. Then let them do the selling. When a 10-year-old watches LeBron dunk in a pair of LeBron 21s, they don't see a shoe. They see power. They see success. And when they beg their parents for those shoes, they are not asking for footwear. They are asking for a piece of that identity. 4. The cracks in the armor, greenwashing and failures. But recently, the perfect image has started to crack. In 2025, Nike faced a wave of scrutiny not just for their labor practices, but for a new kind of deception, greenwashing. You've seen the ads. Move to zero, shoes made of recycled trash. Nike tells you that buying these sneakers is saving the planet. But lawsuits filed in 2023 and 2024 allege something very different. According to court filings, a massive portion of Nike's so-called sustainable collection is just plastic, recycled polyester. While it comes from bottles, it is not biodegradable. When you throw these green shoes away, they sit in a landfill for 500 years, just like a plastic bottle. Even worse, washing these recycled fabrics releases microplastics into the water supply. Critics argue that Nike is selling you expensive ocean-saving gear that might actually be polluting the ocean. And it's not just the environment. In 2021, Nike spent millions buying a company called RTFKT to sell virtual sneakers in the metaverse. They thought we would pay thousands of dollars for shoes that don't exist. They were wrong. By late 2025, Nike quietly sold off the division, admitting that the digital revolution was a billion-dollar mistake. The company that seemed invincible is suddenly looking for its next trick. So, here is the uncomfortable truth. Nike is not a villain. They are a mirror. They sell us exactly what we demand: status, identity, belonging. And we are willing to pay 10 times the manufacturing cost to get it. The $20 shoe costs $200 because we want it to. If it were cheaper, it would lose its power. The scarcity, the endorsements, the hype, that is not a bug. That is the product. Nike doesn't just sell shoes. They sell dreams. And dreams, as it turns out, have a very high markup. If you want to know a bit more about the economics behind everyday life, subscribe, because this is just the beginning.